Investors have had the wool pulled over their eyes all too often over the years. There have been many elaborate schemes seeking to convince investors to part with their money on false premises. Then, there are the cases where false accounting has been used to make firms look much better than they really are, artificially boosting their share prices. While senior executives have used a variety of accounting methods to fool investors, on occasion they have even resorted to downright theft, siphoning millions from company accounts. When such scandals have come to light, investors have been left penniless or with suddenly worthless stock. There are instances where the truly unsuspecting employees of such firms have ended up losing their jobs and their pensions. So, what were some of the biggest financial frauds in history and who were the perpetrators? Charles Ponzi. A Ponzi scheme is defined as a fraud in which people are duped into believing in the success of a fake enterprise. Strong returns are facilitated mainly by the new funds put into the scheme by later investors. Charles Ponzi so epitomized this kind of scam in 1920 North America that the fraud was named after him. Ponzi claimed he was able to make fantastic returns by acquiring postal coupons at a discount and then sending them overseas where they could be sold at a higher price. He told his investors they could make 50% profit in 45 days and 100% profit in 90 days. When people became suspicious and the scheme collapsed, tens of millions of dollars were lost, well, over $200 million in today's money. Ivan Boschke. Ivan Boschke helped inspire the production of the film Wall Street with its key protagonist Gordon Gekko, a character that was partly based on Boschke. Boschke made more than $200 million as he speculated on corporate takeovers, with many of his lucrative positions instigated just a few days before mergers and acquisitions deals were announced. He acted on the privileged information of insiders. While insider trading was illegal, cases were seldom prosecuted at this time. In 1987, Boschke received a prison sentence of 3.5 years. Somewhat soft by today's standards, he was also fined with $100 million. Barry Minkoff. Minkoff founded 4Z Best, a California-based company pretending to be a carpet cleaning and insurance restoration business. He floated the business on the Nasdaq in January 1986, less than a year after he left school. However, the insurance restoration side of the business, which was meant to account for nearly 90% of revenues, didn't even exist. Minkoff used mailboxes and fake offices to fool auditors and an elaborate scheme to falsify the company's accounts. At its height, in early 1987, 4Z Best was valued at $280 million, with Minkoff's stake worth $100 million. However, Minkoff's luck had run out by the middle of 1987, by which time the scam had been uncovered. On his release from jail in 1995, Minkoff made a name for himself as a pastor and fraud expert. Through one of his investigations, he stumbled on a sizable pyramid scheme being perpetrated by an investment firm and alerted the authorities. Over a number of years, he went on to write reports alleging fraud at various publicly listed firms. However, Minkoff would take short positions in their stocks so he could then profit from share price falls that would transpire once his reports were published. Having been subsequently convicted of insider dealing and various frauds connected with his role as a pastor, his earliest release from jail is currently June. Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell was the owner of various UK-based media companies, including Mirror Group. Following his death in 1991, itself shrouded in mystery, it was discovered that Maxwell had misappropriated hundreds of millions of pounds from his company's pensions funds, so he could save his business empire from bankruptcy. Workers lost around half of their pensions entitlements, despite the UK government stepping in to bridge some of the shortfall. The authorities never got a chance to quiz Maxwell about the fraud. He died at sea, either jumping, falling, or being pushed off his yacht. Jeffrey Skilling is the former chief executive of energy, commodities and services company Enron. He enabled the shady accounting practices that allowed Enron to hide its debts from investors and inflate its earnings, putting him at the center of one of the worst accounting scandals of all time. Through various limited liability special purpose entities, Enron was able to move hundreds of millions of debts off its books. Fake revenues were booked by shell companies, making the business look much bigger and more successful than it was. Revenue from huge energy contracts were booked at gross value rather than the net value. Skilling used his inside knowledge to sell his shares at a massive profit. Not long before, the company imploded and filed for bankruptcy protection in 2001. Jailed on counts of fraud and insider dealing in 2007, he is currently scheduled to be released in 2021.